What's going on, everybody, man? Welcome to another NFL team preview show. This episode, we are getting into the Tampa Bay Bucks. But before that, we're gonna hit you with the intro, man, and we will be coming right back, man. Y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's get into it.
Righty K, the Raisin Man.
All right. Here we got the Tampa Bay Bucks, man. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last season 10-7, of course, losing in the wild card round to the Washington Commanders, but it was definitely a pretty good season for the Bucks, all things considered. You know, they did win their division. This division, it's the NFC South. I'm sorry, y'all, but this isn't the best division in football. But Tampa Bay was the cream of the crop, and they took the crown, man. But they got eliminated by the Commanders, like I said. Bet MGM got them coming in at 9.5 on the win total this year. Strength of schedule, it's not a bad schedule. So again, they can easily achieve that 9.5 wins, man. But we got to take a look at what they did last year before we move forward and take a look at what they did this offseason and how they looking going into the season. So for that, I want to turn it over to my two co-hosts, man, Pat and Coach Ed, man. What's your guys' thoughts on the Bucks last year coming into this season?
Yeah, man, the Bucks last year going into last season, man, they were a bit of a surprise, man. The Buccaneers did pretty doggone well. Their defense played pretty well, and they were on the roll until people like Godwin got hurt, Mike Evans got hurt. There was a lot of injuries with those guys last year, but a couple of young guys stepped up for them. Baker Mayfield had a heck of a season last year. And the Buccaneers, you know, I think they can make some noise, man. Last year, you know, Ty Bowles coaching those guys well. As you can see, Antoine Winfield Jr., those guys were out there making plays. And I think the Buccaneers are a team to be reckoned with, man. They showed last year they played very good defense. The offense was like lights out, you know, Bucky Irvin. And when Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in there playing, man, Baker Mayfield was playing like almost an MVP type level, to be honest with you. So, hey, Coach, let them know a little bit what they did last year. The reason why I'm talking like this, why the Buccaneers were forced last year.
Man, when we go into these numbers, I mean, as you guys are going to see right here, the Buccaneers were really impressive overall as a football team. You know, they scored 502 points, which is fourth in the league. Points against, 38 on average, 16th, which is middle of the pack. Their SRS was 6.44, which was sixth. Strength of schedule was 0.44. Now, again, the team stats, their total point score again was 502 yards. But look at that, total yards, 6,793, which was an average of 6.2 yards per play. You know, in passing, they completed 408 completions on 571 attempts. 4,257 yards, 41 touchdowns. Now, they did throw 16 interceptions, so it's a little risky there. Rushing wise, on 483 attempts, they rushed for 2,536 yards, 16 touchdowns, and their average per carry was 5.3. Now, the league ranks in terms of scoring, like I said earlier, was fourth. Their yards was third. Pass yards was third. Touchdowns was second. Pass interceptions was 25th. Now, rushing, they were fourth. Their touchdowns was 14th. Defensively, points scored was 16th, which is middle of the pack. Total yards was 18th. Pass yards was 29th. Pass touchdowns was 19th. The interceptions was 26th. But the rushing defense was fourth, and the rushing touchdowns was 10th. Now, leading that, of course, was Baker Mayfield. I mean, he completed 407 passes on 570 attempts for a 71.4% completion percentage. He threw for 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions. So that right there speaks volumes to what he brought to the table. Now, an impactful player for them, either coming in for this year or from last year, I'm actually going with former Giant Ben Bredeson. Now, he played 99% of their offensive snaps, and this is according to PFN. Bredeson, he allowed the lowest pressure rate, 24% in all of the NFL. Their offense ranked fourth in the league in rushing per game, 149.2 per game, third in yards per carry, 5.3. They set the franchise single record in total rushing yards and yards per carry, which is a massive accomplishment and improvement for a team that finished last in rushing in both 22 and 23. So you see the numbers are telling you what they're doing. Bredeson was a big contributor to an offense that ranked third in total yards, fourth in the points scored, and was the only team in the NFL to land in the top 5 in both rushing and passing. Now, if you look at what he did for his career, he's played in 62 games, started 42, had over 3,000 offensive snaps. Receiving, he actually had a receiving no yards, so that was off a deflection. In terms of penalties in his career, 15 total penalties, 9 holding, 5 false starts, and 4 penalties were declined. So this talks volumes of how impactful of a player he was for Tampa Bay last year and how he's been during his whole career. So that's what the numbers tell you. Sending it back to you guys.
Yeah, man. Great breakdown with the numbers. Ben Bredeson is one of those guys we're going to be talking about here as we get into the key additions. But let's take a look at who they will be missing going into next season here as we get into the key losses. The key losses for the Tampa Bay Bucks. It's actually not that bad of a list. Now, Shaq Barrett, I know, has been a player for them in the past. William Golston, Jordan Whitehead, safety. They lost 3 safeties and 2 corners. And from what Coach said, you know, they struggled with their pass defense. So I'm gonna be wanting to see who they added, because yeah, you got to get better on the back end. You know, the rush defense was good, pass defense not so well. The offense was great, but you know, you lost some pieces in your secondary there. So, but guys, who do you feel like out of this list, looking at this list, you got Chase Edmonds, they lost a couple on the offensive line, but who do you feel out of this list that they will be missing the most, man, going into this season?
I'm going to say it's going to be Shaq Barrett. Looking at that list, Shaq Barrett is going to be the guy that they're going to miss the most, man. He's a veteran pass rusher who got after the quarterback for those guys last year, and they're definitely going to need some help rushing that passer this year, especially over there, in the NFC South, man. If they could get that edge rush dominant over in the NFC South, I don't see no reason why the Buccaneers can't come out on top again in the NFC South. But Shaq Barrett is definitely a guy that, is he's just a veteran out there, man. He makes plays. He gets the ball back for them on to the offense so Baker Mayfield could go out there and do what he does. But, Coach, man, who do you think they're going to be missing this upcoming year from that list?
Well, Pat, when you talked about the Shaq Barrett, I mean, that was a player that I was looking at, but I'm going to go ahead and just focus on the offensive line because they had a very good offensive line last year, and their offense was elite last year. So anytime you lose an offensive lineman, whether they're a starter or a backup, that has some effect the following year. So to lose 2 offensive linemen, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to watch and see what happens to how their offense produces. Are they going to stay up there in the top 3, 4, 5 in the league, or are they going to come closer to the middle of the pack? So I'm going to be looking to see what happens in terms of Hainsey and Skull, what type of effect they have as far as whether they're key contributors or, how do they replace those guys going forward?
Yeah, Coach. But like I said, I don't think this is a bad list, y'all. I don't think they lost a lot, and they were a really good team last year. The Bucs is a very underrated team. So let's see what they did in free agency to strengthen their squad here as we take a look at the key additions. Yeah, man, they signed a couple of their guys. We talked about Ben Bredesen re-signing on a 3-year, $22 million deal. Sterling Shepard, our boy Shep Riggs. he's back with the Bucs on a 1-year deal for $2.25 million. Levante David re-signing, Bryce Hall re-signing, Chris Godwin re-signing. So a lot of re-signings for the Bucs here, and I think that's mostly where a lot of the key signings that they made, were just re-signings. But there's Hassan Reddick, 1-year, $14 million deal. He's definitely going to add to that pass rush coming over from the Eagles. But what's your guys' thoughts on this list, and who do you think is going to be a key addition here for the Bucs going into this year?
All right, one key addition I want to talk about, man, is Mr. Hassan Reddick. Speaking of that guy that I just talked about, Shaq Barrett, losing Shaq Barrett, Hassan Reddick is going to have to step up and take that actual role from Shaq Barrett with this team. Hassan Reddick coming off I think he was crazy. He held out for a long time, and then he went to the Eagles. I think he got a Super Bowl with them last year, if I'm not mistaken, and looks like he's going to come over and be the top edge rusher for the Buccaneers going into this season. So Hassan Reddick is that guy that I'm looking at as the best key addition for the Buccaneers this upcoming season. But, Coach, what you think?
Well, spoke about it earlier. Ben Bredesen, I think that's one of the key additions. Charlie Heck, another veteran offensive lineman. What is he going to bring to the table? How impactful can he be to keep their offense as productive as they were, going forward? So, again, I always focus on the trenches, and right here with Tampa Bay, that's kind of where I'm focused on. Yeah, you hit it on Hassan Reddick. He definitely has to come in and step up his game to replace, Shaq Barrett. So, but my biggest focus is the offensive line. Bredesen, lowest pressure rate, numbers basically said it, lowest pressure rate in the whole NFL. So that's big right there in itself. So which allowed Baker Mayfield to have the season that he did. So that offensive line, what are they going to bring, especially playing in the NFC South? And we'll see their schedule later on. And what he can do, what that offensive line can do to allow their players to produce.
Yeah, man. Again, a lot of re-signings. So, and that's a good thing when you're doing some of these previews and you're looking at teams bringing their guys back, especially their key contributors. But you got this thing called the NFL draft, and Tampa Bay did participate in that. So let's see what they did in the draft, y'all, and see if they got any better there. Looking at first round pick, Emeka and Egbuka out of Ohio State, wide receiver with the first round 19th overall pick. I thought that was solid right there. Benjamin Morrison, cornerback in round 2, another corner. So they did definitely focused on their secondary there. That was one of their weaknesses. Coach was reading out the stats. So 2 corners there and 2 edge. So they went 2 corners, 2 wide receivers, and 2 edge. 7th round, Tez Johnson out of Oregon. Got to speak to him at the Senior Bowl. I think that would be a steal for Tampa Bay if you could develop him when some of these receivers move on, like a Chris Godwin. You can slide one of these guys in. But, Coach, Pat, y'all know, man, we love the draft, man. We love talking about these draft picks, these college prospects. That is our favorite season. So focusing on this right now, which one of these picks is your favorite or one of your favorites in this draft out of this class for the Tampa Bay Bucks? I thought it was solid, man.
Yeah, they did have a pretty solid draft. And the guy that I'm going to talk about is Mr. Emeka Egbuka from the Ohio State Buckeyes, man. This kid is actually pretty dynamite. And Mike Evans is getting a little long in the tooth. And Chris Godwin has his injury concerns. And I think he's getting to 30 now as well. This kid looks like, man, he's going to play in the slot. He's going to be that guy that's going to, that could probably take over for Chris Godwin if he gets hurt again. He can play on the outside as well. Now, he's not going to be a Mike Evans type receiver, but he's going to be solid and he's going to be dependable throughout his career as long as he stays healthy. And he has deceptive speed too, like Jackson Smith and Jigba over there in Seattle, man. So this guy, Emeka Egbuka, dope find in the first round for them. But Coach, who you looking at over there with the Buccaneers and their draft this year?
First of all, to add on to what you said about Emeka coming from the actual wide receiver, say what you want about LSU, but to me, it's the Ohio State University.
Man,
they definitely bring those receivers to the NFL, man. So, and like you said, he can play inside, he can play outside, he can give you a little gadget with some of the reverses. He's going to learn from some good receivers. Don't forget about Sterling, because Sterling plays in the slot, and I agree with you. I think he's penciled into the slot. But the player that I'm intrigued and I think can help them is actually Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame, man. He's played against some high caliber talent, playing at Notre Dame, playing the schedules that they play, and the things that he does. Now, there are some things that he has to be further developed on, but he's a second rounder, so it speaks volumes to his talent. He can play up and give you a little bit in run support on occasion. And to me, he's someone that I'm going to be watching what happens with Tampa Bay going forward. What does he actually bring to the table over there for them? So are they going to play him more inside in the slot? Can he handle being on the outside, playing with the boundary, or is he more suited for the slot, especially giving them some safety over the top help? So I want to see how he's developed and what you get out of him going forward.
Yeah, man. So I agree with y'all, man. Ibuka, I think he's gonna be nice with the Bucks, man. I mean, you gotta think, man. They got a veteran laden core of receivers, So bringing in this young talent is important. Now, speaking of that, let's look at their depth chart and see who they do have at receiver and how this thing rounds out. So looking at it here, man, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin again. That 1-2 punch. Trey Palmer, Jalen McMillan backing those guys up. But then they got Mbuka slotted in there in the slot, as you guys said, over Sterling Shepard. So that's interesting. The offensive line, I think, is solid too. I think it's solid, man. They got Wharf still there. Bredesen, they signed. We talked about him. Graham Barton at center, Cody Mock, and then Luke Godike at right tackle. Cade Otton is a very underrated tight end in this league. Bucky Irvin him and Tyrone Tracy was 1-2. I think Bucky Irvin had a better season last year as a rookie running back. And Baker Mayfield, man, again, an underrated quarterback, cast aside by, the Browns and a couple other teams, but found a home in Tampa. And look, they got the Bucks out there, in playoff contention year after year. Now, it's always come down to that defense, though, fellas. For me, it always comes down to that defense. And looking at the back end of that defense, they do have Antoine Winfield Jr., but Zion McCollum, Jamel Dean, Christian Eisen, Tyke Smith. I mean, is this enough, man? I like the front end. Vita Vea, Kalijah Kancey, Hassan Reddick adding to that pass rush. I like that. Levante David at linebacker. So I kind of like their front seven. I'm concerned on the back end, though. What are your guys' thoughts on this Tampa Bay roster, man? Talk to me.
All right, Coach. As you always know, NYG gives it off to us. I'm going to handle the offense. You handle the defense. So I'm going to talk about this offense right quick, man. Listen, when you got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Emeka Egbuka, I know he's a rookie, but I think he's going to be super solid. I think your receiving core is in very good hands. You got Trey Palmer, another LSU receiver that went to Nebraska, the real receiver LSU, not Ohio State, sir. I'm sorry. And then you got Jalen McMillan from another good receiving school in Washington. You got old man Ricks there. You got Raheem Jarrett from Maryland. I mean, their receivers are dope. So, but gotta get to the offensive line. Tristan Wirfs, can he stay healthy? Ben Bredesen, underrated. Graham Barton, we got to see if he can hold up that center position. Cody Mock, very good. And Luke Goldick, he was very good last year. Cade Otton, NYGU, was absolutely correct. Very underrated in this league. He was actually pretty doggone dope last year. And Payne Durham is very good as well. Baker Mayfield, 41 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, enough said. And Bucky Irvin and Rashad White is a very good 1-2 punch. And don't forget about Sean Tucker at the third running back, brings that speed element to this team. So I think these guys are going to be pretty dope on offense again. But Coach, tell them about the defense.
I mean, the defense, NYG, you said it, the front seven, pretty sound. That, you really are. Starts up front, it actually starts with big Vita Vea, man.
Yeah.
That right there, if you solidify the middle of the defense, it does a whole lot of wonders for everything else. It allows your linebackers in David and Servachi Dennis to be able to flow freely and make plays because offenses are going to be forced to double team, and that's what Vita Vea does. And don't think he's just a run stuffer. he can get after the quarterback up front. Now you're bringing in Hassan Reddick, to come off of the edge, with Logan Hall and Kalijah Cansey up front. This front seven is good. Now we did speak on the back end. Antoine Winfield Jr. as a free safety. Christian Izzy out of Rutgers. You talk about an underrated tight end. People forget how good he really is. He was undrafted mostly because he's a small nickel safety type of a player. That's really what it boils down to. But when he's at Rutgers, the kid was all over the place, and this is the same thing he has done for Tampa Bay. They see his ability and what he does playing run support as well as in coverage. Now Jamal Dean, he's going to be pressed, like I said about Benjamin Morris. Christian also, he's going to have some competition with Jacob Harris behind him, to push him. And I think he's going to step up to the plate. He has that Shiano mentality. That's another head coach who does wonders coaching up the defensive backfield. So this defense has the tools to step up and be a lot better than what the numbers spoke about last year. So like I said before, I'm intrigued. Going to be watching Benjamin Morrison. They have him slided on the outside. How long before he takes over the starting spot on that outside cornerback position? So that's pretty much it in terms of this defense. Going to be intrigued to see what they do going forward, especially in the NFC South. And I'm intrigued to see who they're going up against too.
That's a fact. NYG, back to
Yeah.
you, big dog.
Speaking of, let's take a look at this schedule because they won 10 games last year. They got him at 9.5. Y'all got to talk to me though about this schedule, man, because it's ranked 19th. So it should present an opportunity for some wins, but I see an opportunity also for some slippage. Because week 2, okay, you starting off with Atlanta. Say you beat Atlanta. Say you the king of the South, so to speak, and you beat Atlanta. But then you got Houston. You got the Jets, who, don't get it twisted, they got a good defense, and I think Aaron Glenn is going to be a good coach. We'll see what they do on offense. Philly, the champs. Then you got Seattle, another tough team. San Francisco, Detroit. That's a tough stretch right there, But outside of that, I mean, you got a 3-game stretch there with Buffalo, the Rams, Cardinals. But I mean, you play in the South, so your division isn't, rock 'em, knock 'em, sock 'em. So, you should pick up wins against Carolina and New Orleans. But can they get to 10 wins again? Because they got them at 9.5. Y'all talk to me, man. We're going over under. What we doing?
Yeah, with that schedule there, bro. Atlanta, Houston, New York, Philly, Seattle, San Francisco, Detroit. After those, first 7 games? It's kind of coasting. You got the Patriots. Yeah, you got Buffalo and the Rams. Then you got the Cardinals, the Saints, Atlanta, Carolina, Miami, Carolina. I'm going over, man. I think they can get 10 wins again, man. They can survive that first part of the season and have a 4-3. Even if they're 3-4, I still think they get to 10-7. So yeah, I'm going over, man. Coach, what you think?
I see why they have them at 9.5. The bookmakers are smart as hell, man. They are real smart as hell. Cause
shout out to GM Graham, man.
Bro, I'm sitting here. They have to start out well because, the back end, okay, I get it. But you're playing the AFC East and the NFC West. So Atlanta to start on the road, it's not as easy as you think. It's a division win, and it starts out in Atlanta. You're familiar with them, okay. And then you got Houston. If you start out 0-2, it's going to be a struggle from there. I'm sorry. We don't know what's up with the Jets, but at least you're hosting them, so maybe you can get that. Philly, the champs, Bro, you can't play. Your defense has to be on par to handle Philadelphia. I don't want to sit here and say you're going to go blow for blow because they have a good defense. And you got to fly from the Gulf Coast to the Pacific Northwest, right around the beginning of October. It's not as cold, but there's a cool briskness. So you're going from a hot weather to a cool briskness. San Francisco, okay, what San Francisco are we going to have by then, by week 6? What's going on with them? Okay, so that could be a tough one. People are projecting San Francisco to be a contender, so I'm going to say, okay, they're going to be a contender. So it's going to be a tough game, but they're on par with them. Detroit, by then Detroit will have the coordinator situation figured out. Right here, though. So right there, like you said, if they can go 3-4, second half can be more to their advantage. I will say this: to really be an elite team with this schedule, they're going to need to sweep their division. They need to be undefeated in their division based on the. And I'm only saying that because of the start of the season. With Houston, with Philly. Going to Seattle, Frisco, Detroit, if those teams are playing at an elite level, they have to be to get to 10 wins. They have to sweep their division, man. They have to. And with the AFC East, at least go 2-2. The NFC West, same thing. That's going to get you to at least 10 wins right there alone. So I'm going to go, they're going to be over because the way their offense played last year, the additions that they had, I'm going to give them the 10 wins. I'm not going to say 11. I question it, but I'll give them 10 wins like they did last year. Now, if their defense can step up and play, like we just broke down, then maybe I could see 11, maybe pushing to 12, maybe. But everything is starting with the beginning, so...
There's 3 games that I definitely think they're going to be underdogs in, and that's Philadelphia, that's Detroit, and that's 4 games, Buffalo and the Rams. I think they're underdogs in all those games. Every other game on the schedule, you could go either way. You could say they could win, they could lose. I think those 4 games are definite L's. And if you sort of split, or you sort of, win most of the other ones, 10 wins it's very achievable. I think 4 games on there, you say it's a good chance they're going to lose. They could win, but it's a good chance they're going to lose. All the other games I'm looking at, I'm like, they could beat San Francisco. They could beat Houston, Atlanta, the Jets, Seattle. So yeah, I'm going over. Going over for the Bucs, man. This is a solid team. They definitely got a solid offense. I think their defense will be better this year with the addition of Hassan Reddick and what they did in the draft. David Walker, man, that kid too. He's underrated too as well. Central Arkansas pass rusher. So
definitely is.
Yeah. So I think they're gonna be. all right on defense. I don't think it's gonna be a defense that's gonna be shutting people down. But I think if their defense plays average, they'll win 10 games. But that's been the Bucs preview, man. We coming right back with the Falcons, the Dirty Birds, man. Let's get into it. What's going on, man? We back with the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons last year, not a bad year. 8-9. So didn't make the playoffs, but did win eight games in a down year. And more importantly, that guy up there on the screen, man, Mr. Michael Penix Jr., got into action last year and looked pretty good. So there is promise down there in the ATL. BetMGM got them coming in at 7.5 this year. So they're saying the Falcons are going to regress. I don't know. But what do you guys think about what they did last year and the promise that Michael Penix and this offense showed last year when he finally got into action, man?
Yeah. I think the Atlanta Falcons, man, listen, they're a team to be watched out there in the NFC, period, with Michael Penix playing the full year. As you can see, that guy, Drake London, on the screen. Get him, Ray Ray. Ray Ray's still out there. I do believe that this team is underrated going into the season, and I'm excited to see what they do, what they going to do in the future, because I'm not going to talk about too much what they did last season, because I think Kirk Cousins was a shell of himself, and I think he hurt them tremendously last year. They could have won a lot of games if he could actually had an arm out there to get the ball out there to those receivers. So Michael Penix, man, if he has a big season, I think this Falcons team can sneak themselves into the playoffs, maybe get that 7th seed. Who knows? But Coach, tell them what they did last year and why you should be excited for the Falcons going into the future or not.
All right, Pat. Let me sit here and we take a look at the Atlanta Falcons. We see that they scored 389 points, 13th in the league, so they're a little bit above average. But their point against 423, which is putting them in the lower spectrum of the league. Now, the SRS was at 2.19, 19th in the league. Strength of schedule is at a 0.19. But, again, total points was 389. Look at their total yards, 6,287, which is at a 5.8 yards per play. Now, passing, they completed 364 yards out of 559 yards for 4,068 yards. 21 touchdowns, but 19 interceptions. It's not good. Rushing total, 495 carries for 2,219 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 4.5 yards per carry. So that's saying something in the rushing spectrum. Now, their league ranks, again, was 13th in points scored. Their yards was 6th. Passing yards was 5th. Touchdowns was 20th. Pass interceptions was 29th. Rushing yards, 10th. Touchdowns, 8th. So, they do have a decent offense. Their defensive ranks, though, points scored was 23rd. Yards was 23rd. Pass yards was 22nd. Pass touchdowns was 31st. Interceptions was 17th. Rush yards was 15th. And rushing touchdowns allowed was 4th, though. So they're not giving up touchdowns. So they're doing a good job in between the goal line. So I'll give them credit there where that's due. Now, players that are impactful for them, we see it. Now, he's not going to have a whole lot of numbers because he just played a little bit going towards the end of the season. But Mr. Michael Penix, 61 completions on 105 attempts, 58.1 percentage. So definitely need to improve there. 775 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But he's a rookie, didn't play that much. Pat, you even talked about Kirk Cousins. So that does have an impact. So we'll see going forward. Now, player coming in or there that is going to have a big impact, Jake Matthews, offensive lineman. You know me. And especially when you have a young quarterback, you need to protect him. The man has played in 179 games and started in 179 games. So he came in as a rookie and said, when you put me out there to play, I'm starting. 11,666 snaps. So he's serviceable. He's been to the Pro Bowl. In terms of penalties, total 58 over his career, 27 holding, 23 false starts, 8 of them declined. So, all right, I'll give him that. He set the franchise record for consecutive games played and has the longest active streak to start in the NFL. I said it before, 179 games. He helped the Falcons rush for the second most yards in a single season in franchise history, 2,718 yards in 2022. Blocked for an offense in 22 that rushed for more than 100 yards in 15 consecutive games. For the third all-time in franchise history, and for the first time since 2005. So you see how impactful this man is. The numbers showed you he's going to block, and he's going to help Michael Penix step up and be a better quarterback and be the quarterback that many of us believe he is capable of being. So there you have it. Over to you, NYG.
Yeah, man, that Michael Penix Jr., man, I do think he's going to be special. And I think the Falcons, they do have an opportunity, to improve on last year with having Michael Penix in the lineup for a full season. Now, they did lose some pieces, particularly here. We talking about a couple of edge rushers. Matthew Judon, Lorenzo Carter, James Smith-Williams. You don't like to see that. Grady Jarrett, long-time Falcon, now a Chicago Bear. Justin Simmons is gone. Rondell Moore, wide receiver, went to the Vikings. But out of this list, man, who do you think they're gonna miss the most? On this team here. Looking at this list of key losses, y'all talk to me.
All right, man. I think they're gonna miss this man, Matthew Judon, a whole lot, because even though he's a little old in the tooth, man, that man Matthew Judon just gets after the quarterback. And so, who are they gonna get to replace his veteran leadership on the field? Not just the way he played on the field, his veteran leadership on the field. Matthew Judon is 10 sacks waiting to happen. So him, losing him, I think the Falcons already have issues on defense as far as getting after the quarterback. So we're going to see what they do to replace Matthew Judon, if they did anything to replace Matthew Judon. And I don't think that's a guy that's easily replaced, because what he just brings as a leader on the field, man, he's been doing it for a lot of years, and he's still a good player to me. So we'll see. But Coach, who you got, man?
JD Garrett is definitely. Judon is definitely one, but for me, Grady Jarrett, man. What more can I say? This man has been consistent for years. He owns that middle, man. He's so impactful up front. Whether he's using quickness, using strength, playing with great leverage, hand placement, whatever he needs to do, whether he creates a double team or he beats his blocks as a solo and makes a play, whether in the run game, and he can get after the quarterback a little bit. So I think Grady Jarrett is going to hurt. They already had a defense that needed work. Well, I said it before with Tampa Bay, with Vita Vea. I said, you need to solidify the middle of your defense at any point in time, whether that's on the front line or on the second level with your linebackers. You need to solidify. And Grady Jarrett is one of those players who can help solidify the middle of any defense. So to me, he's a big guy. He's a classic, what I call sexy fatty. He's just like me, a sexy fatty. So there you go. So that's who I think it is. So I'll turn it back over to you guys.
Yeah, definitely, man. What you said, Coach. They need to get tough in the trenches over there in Atlanta. Let's see if they did that with the key additions. Key additions here. They went out and got Leonard Floyd. There's that. Katavius Street re-signed. There's that. You're not a lot in free agency as far as the I mean, they brought Morgan Fox in. Morgan Fox. But Jake Matthews, he re-signed there. I don't know, man. Underwhelming, very underwhelming offseason. I even had a trouble finding somebody to put in this spot as a pitcher because it was very underwhelming for me, guys. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the only person that I see on that list that's even worth mentioning to me is Leonard Floyd. Maybe he could take that veteran leadership part from losing Matthew Judon, but I don't see him being as impactful as a Matthew Judon. I think Leonard Floyd is like a pinch hitter. He's the guy you bring in, to come in and clean up the mess after your starters, a little winded. He can come in there and give you some snaps at that point in time. And he's done that with the Rams, the 49ers, the Bears. I think he was with the Cowboys one year. So I think he was with the Commanders last year, if I'm not mistaken. So he's not a guy that's going to, be that focal point for your team. So, Leonard Floyd is the only guy I could think of. Coach, who you thinking about on this list?
First off, I'm not trying to be disrespectful because NYG, when you said Morgan Fox, I had to do a double take because I thought you said Megan Fox for a second. I was like, huh, what? Wait a minute. But no disrespect to this man. I don't know him from a can of paint, so I'm going to be honest with you. So, right now, you know me. I always talk about the front lines and defensively. You didn't do anything. The best you did was Jake Matthews, and I already spoke about him. You did get something on the back end, and Hughes, Jordan Fuller, Kevin King. I'm like, all right, but underwhelming is not even a right word for me. Highly disappointing in what they did, especially on the defensive side of the ball. You really didn't do much. So either you have some young studs that are already on the roster, or you drafted some young studs to attack that front line, because I already went over Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay, if I'm the OC thinking about right now, without knowing your full roster, I'm saying I'm running the ball right down your throat, and I'm challenging you to stop me. And that's just Tampa Bay. So I can imagine what the rest of your schedule is saying. Like I said, I'm highly disappointed in what I'm seeing. And if you think all you're going to do is rely on your offense to put up numbers and win shootouts, Atlanta, it don't work like that, brothers. So right now, other than Jake Matthews, who I already spoke about, I'm not impressed with the new additions, man. I'm just going to leave it like that.
Yeah. He said Megan Fox. It looked like Megan Fox.
And I had to do a double take.
And they might be better off with Megan Fox.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be honest with you. But again, man, let's see if they did any better with their draft picks. Only had 5 of them, so we gotta make the best of it. They working with pennies over there in Atlanta. But that being said, Jalen Walker, stud out of Georgia, man. Home run pick right there with the 15th overall pick. Then they went another pick in round 1, 2 first-round picks, and got James Pierce Jr. So the Falcons finally taking their pass rush serious. Xavier Watts, man, very safety, man, from Notre Dame. That might be a steal in the third round. Billy Bowman Jr. out of Oklahoma, and then Jack Nelson, tackle out of Wisconsin in the 7th round, developmental prospect. But what are you guys' thoughts on the draft picks since they didn't really do much in free agency? Talk to me.
Yeah. They went crazy with the edge rushers in the first round. Jalen Walker, At pick number 11, but I'm gonna talk about the second guy that they got in the first round, who I think is gonna turn out to be the better pro, and that's James Pierce from Tennessee, man. James Pierce from Tennessee, man, he is absolutely a wild man out there, and not in a bad way. Like, he runs damn near a 4-3 at the edge position, and he is tough to block, very quick off the snap, and he just hunts, man. He just goes out there and hunts. So if they develop this kid the way that he's supposed to be developed, he's gonna be all right, man. James Pierce can definitely fill that role. I think he can fill the Leonard Floyd role better than Leonard Floyd can do right now in James Pierce. So put a little weight on him, let him get out there and let him go hunt, man. But coach, who you thinking about out there, bro?
Pat, good breakdown. Great assessment. Atlanta is attacking the edges. Okay, great job, Atlanta. Do what you're supposed to do there. But again, I'm going to go back to what I said in the last segment. Can you stop the run on a consistent basis? I have not seen anything that says in the middle of your defense, you're going to hold strong. If I'm a team, inside dome, hell, I'll go old school and run ISO on you. I'll target one of your linebackers with a big fullback, an H-back, and just lay the wood on them and just say, can you stop me from running? What do you have in camp that's in the middle of your defense that tells me you can hold the middle, you can be stout, even let your dynamic edges get in and make the plays, even in the run game? I mean, Pierce did a good job, holding, setting the edge, getting off the blocks and making a play in the run game. I'm not going to sit here and tell you don't have some guys who can make plays on the edge. But if I'm running between the A gaps, maybe in between the two B gaps, and I'm just going to seal the edges, ride them up the field, are you able to stop that, fellas? Are you really able to stop it? Because right now, what I'm seeing and what this is telling me is Atlanta wants to win in the shootout. They think that they're going to be successful in the National Football League in a shootout. This ain't college, baby. This ain't college. When you leave college, you're supposed to step up and be a grown-ass man. Atlanta, you ain't showing me you're going to be a grown-ass man because you have your quarterback. But if you're going to rely on his arm and your run game there on a consistent basis and think that you're going to win a shootout, I don't know, man. Y'all take it because I'm really disappointed in Atlanta. I really am.
Yo, I ain't going to hold you, coach. I'm not going to hold you, bro. I'm disappointed too because, after the year they had last year, I expected them to do a little bit more in draft and in free agency. But let's see how they put it all together. Okay, let's take a look at this roster, and then we're going to make our assessment from here. Y'all know how we do on this show. Now, as I'm looking at it here, again, we've been talking about it. We like the offense. Drake London, Ray McLeod, you know what I'm saying? Darnell Mooney, a very underrated receiver as well. So you got some weapons there. You also got Cal Pitts at tight end. So, Bijan Robinson, Michael Penix Jr., but, you're looking at the defense. I don't know, man. I just don't know. I like AJ Terrell Jr. And Jesse Bates back there on the back end. But again, you're relying on a lot of young prospects and veterans that you brought in. Some of these veterans like Leonard Floyd, to come in and really make a difference here. I don't know. If you can't get to the quarterback, those guys in the back end, while they're good, they can't cover forever. But y'all know how we do on this show. We got our football aficionados in the building. Coach, let Coach get the offense this time, man. I want Pat to take the defense, man. And Coach, man, give me your assessment of the offense. for the Atlanta Falcons here, man, as you take a look at the roster?
Damn, man. You knew I was going to tear up that defense, man.
That's right. Nah.
You know it, man. I had about fourth, my knife, and the plate right here, ready to slice it up. So I focus on the offense, man. Offensively, I said it before. They can play offensively, man. I mean, they have a good offensive line. They have skilled players, Mooney, London, McLeod. I mean, you got Agnew. I mean, you got back end players, Kyle Pitts, Warmer. I mean, you have some time in the run game with Robinson, Algier. Oh, come on, man. They can set it up. And then Penix, I'll even give Kirk Cousins as a backup, an expensive backup, but as a backup. He's still good as a backup. So, your quarterback position is solid. So offensively, you can go out there and, front line is going to do what they need to do. They're going to allow your running backs to run and make plays, and you're going to be able to get the ball downfield. So again, with this offense, they're going to be able to put up points. There is no doubt in my mind about that. Plus, you're playing a dome. You're playing a couple domes. So, yeah, and Tampa Bay with good weather. Yeah, I'm expecting you to put up points. No, the other issues on that, the other side of the ball, man. But go ahead, Pat.
Man.
You got the other side.
Talk about this defense, man.
Hey, listen, man. Hey, Coach, you ain't the only one that got their thunder stolen, man. I was ready to talk about this offense. Get them, Ray out there getting them. It was Michael Penix and them boys out there. But, hey, listen, we multifaceted over here, so we can talk about this defense, too. So, this defense here, man, you got Morgan Fox, not Megan Fox, Morgan Fox, David Ayameta, Zach Harrison, Jalen Walker starting, Devon Diablo coming over from the Las Vegas Raiders, Caden Ellis, he did decent. You got Leonard Floyd, who I do not believe is a starter. You got Mike Hughes, gets the business out there a lot of the times. Jesse Bates is very good. Now, Jason Bates is nice. Jordan Fuller, he's off and on. AJ Terrell, one of the better cornerbacks in the league, and D. Alford in the slot. I'm with you, Coach. I am very disappointed in what they did with this defense because your offense was set. You know what I'm saying? But they did get James Pierce and Jalen Walker. I think James Pierce is going to have a better career than Jalen Walker. I just think Jalen Walker, he has that Georgia, university behind him. So that allowed him to go up higher than I think he should have went. But, man, this secondary, I see his food going into the season. Jesse Bates better be able to go sideline to sideline this season. And he can hit a little bit, but are these guys going to be out there winning the tackle? Devon Diablo being the number one middle linebacker for you, I don't believe that is conducive to them. And like you said, Coach, I do believe that they're going to get ran on this season. Mm-hmm. Looking at this depth chart, man, they're going to get ran on this season. And it's going to be, are you going to be willing to bring your lunch pail today? Because if that offense doesn't put up 24 to 30 points a game, I can see them losing some games. Mm-hmm. So either this defense is going to have to be super opportunistic, which they do have the pieces to do that with people like Jesse Bates out there, and they do have the speed on the edge to get to you, to get to your quarterback. If they get you if they're up 20 to 10 or something like that in the fourth quarter, and you have to pass the ball, if they can get you in those situations, then I may see their defense doing something this year. But if it's just a dogfight, I think they lose, man. I do believe they lose. But NYG, man, hey, that's our offensive defense for the Atlanta Falcons, man.
Yeah, I think you guys are spot on. I think this defense is lunch meat, and they're gonna have to get into a lot of shootouts. So let's see who they're gonna be getting into these shootouts with. As we take a look at the schedule here, fellas. I'm gonna be honest with you. They got Atlanta at 7.5. I don't know, bruh. Because I mean, you starting out with Tampa, Minnesota, then you go at Carolina. We're gonna get into the Panthers next, man. I think that's a team that is being slept on a little bit. Then you got Washington, the Bills, the 49ers, man. I mean, good God, bro. I don't know, man. And then you look at the back end, Seattle, Arizona, Los Angeles. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. You're going to have to get into a lot of these shootouts. So I don't know if you can outshoot the Vikings or outshoot the Commanders or the Buffalo Bills or even the Dolphins. But y'all talk to me, man. 7.5. What y'all got for the Falcons? I don't know.
Man.
I don't know.
Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Carolina, Washington, your first 4. And it's 7.5.
Yeah. They won 8 last year now. So Vegas is saying they're gonna regress. And I see why.
Yeah, GM in Vegas, they might be on to something here. But I'm going to go against them. I'm going to say over. I say they get at least 8 wins this year.
Okay.
Based on, because I do believe Michael Penix is a way better option at quarterback than what Kirk Cousins was. And if they won, 8 games last year with Kirk Cousins at quarterback, messing them up in the beginning of that season, I can't see any reason why to go against them getting 8 wins this year, even though that defense is looking a little underwhelming. But Washington, Minnesota, Tampa Bay twice, the Rams. Yeah, man. This could go either way, but I'm going to go over based on my man Michael Penix, man. I think he could get them over the hump. I truly believe that he can get them over the hump. But Coach, what you think, man?
I'm gonna say this, man. It's not gonna surprise me if they go 1-7, 1-6, 0-7 with those first 7 games.
Oh my goodness.
Then on top of that, you're going to New England in the beginning of November. See, again, I said the defense and shootouts. Tampa Bay, you're not beating that first game. You're not beating Minnesota. NYG, you talked about Carolina. So, even if you split with them during the season, that first game is going to be tough. Washington, Buffalo, yeah, you're playing them in Atlanta. But now those teams are playing in the Dome also. And both those teams do also they can play a little bit of defense. You're going to Frisco, and people, you don't know what Frisco team you're going to get. And if you get in the championship caliber Miami, I don't care if you are hosting them. And you go to New England. All right, Indianapolis. We don't know who we're going to get. So, Carolina, like I say, you can probably split and you're at home. Okay. New Orleans, you can probably get New Orleans, maybe. The Jets in New York, the end of November into the beginning of December. Seattle, then Tampa. You're not winning Tampa Bay. Arizona is going to be a decent team. The Rams, come on, man, 7.5. I'm sorry, I don't. Pat, I love you, bro. I disagree with you. I can't see 7.5. I can barely see 5, 4. And y'all know how I am with Michael Penix. I love Michael Penix. This is going to be about their defense more than anything. And a good running team is going to control the clock, or if they're physical, they're just going to dominate you. Like Tampa Bay, I know it's the first game, so but I don't believe in their defense. And Tampa Bay can run the football. And I think just running the football, they can get 4 touchdowns in that game, just running the football. And not even throwing. And now add in the throws, even if you get 2 more touchdowns, that's 6 touchdowns. That's 42 points.
Coach, I have
Oh my
The
god!
utmost faith in Michael Penix with that offense, man. I'm just gonna be with Bijan
But it's
Robinson.
the
Drake
defense,
London.
Pat. That's what did I just say? It's the
But
defense.
listen. If they get out on top of you, I do believe their defense can swarm. They're very fast on defense, so I think they could be opportunistic. And with Michael Penix being a way better option at quarterback, if they won 8 games last year, the way what Kirk Cousins was playing last year, I can't go against them getting 8 wins this year.
Pat, I'm with you on that. I respect that. I respect your opinion, but you just said something. Get up on teams. Right now, in those first 7, do you think they can really? You want to say Carolina?
Who you getting up on? That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you can get up on Carolina. You can get up on Carolina.
That's what I said. If you say Carolina, and I did say one
you
win,
can get up on Miami. You can get up on Miami.
Miami
You can get up on San Francisco as well. If they offense plays well against San Francisco, I think they win that game. Wholeheartedly.
In Frisco, here's the thing about the Falcons, and this is a trend over the years. You don't trust the Falcons on the road. It's one of those teams you do not trust on the road, even if they playing a so-called lesser team. Some of these road games, like New England, San Francisco, the Jets, Arizona, it could go either way. Really, you probably favor the other teams in that situation because of who the Falcons are and because they don't have a defense. And what do we say about defenses? Defenses travel, especially in cold weather stadiums. And when you don't have one, guess when you go to the cold, you're gonna freeze.
I love Michael. I love Michael.
Be bad either way, man.
Yeah,
but I do like Michael Penix, and I do think
Falcons. I do like their offense. I do. I
have promise.
I would pay to see their offense, and that says a lot when it comes from me. But it's always about defense with me. And this right now is outside of Cincinnati. This is probably one of the most disappointing off seasons that I've seen in their team, man. And Pat, I hope you're right because I want to see Michael Penix shine, bro. And I'm cool with beginning shootouts in a sense, but then what happens in the shootout? It comes to those closing moments. Can you close out that game? Yeah, and it's the defense that usually can close out the game more than it's the offense. And if you're telling me they have the ball last in all these games. Yeah, and they're close. Okay, then that changes the whole. But I go back to this is my issue with them. And unless they have a scheme that's just amazing, they're going to be coming from different angles with blitz. Because right now, in the interior of that defense, we just went over the roster. That's what concerns me because if I'm going between B gap to B gap. Ideally, I'm running the inside zone, and if I see that all you're going to do is crash the inside, then I'm going to attack the outside because now I got you where I want you. So it's like it's a catch-22. Because Pat, you're right. If they can play and hold the fort a little bit defensively with their offense, I can understand where you're coming from. Michael Penix is an upgrade over Kirk Cousins, so I can understand saying at least 8 games. I can, and I'll even say, you know what? If they can play some defense, I'll even say they can probably get to 10 wins. I'm telling you, they can play some defense. Yeah, and
I'm gonna take the under, and because I do not trust the Falcons on the road, and I do not trust that defense. So I think they'll win some games against some lesser teams, but the meat of their schedule, they're gonna get mocked. I promise you.
And but here's the one last thing. I'm sorry before we get out of here. I think the start of the season determines the end of their season.
That's a fact.
Because if they say for argument's sake, they're 0-7 going into New England.
Oh, it's over.
The morale is going to be, and it might end up being, you know what? Did somebody on offense significantly get? And I do not wish this on you, Atlanta fans. I'm not wishing this. But if somebody significantly gets hurt, one of your key money players,
it's over.
You're going to put that number 1 overall draft pick.
It's going to be hell to pay down there in the ATL. But we got to get to these Carolina Panthers, man. The Panthers, man, I think got a little bit of problems here, man. It might be slept on, man. We talking about the Falcons, talking about the Bucks. We ain't forgot about you, Panthers, and we're going to get to them Saints a little bit later, man. But we're going to be right back with the next one. Let's get it. All right, man. Back with the Carolina Panthers. Panthers, interesting team here. They were 5-12 last year, but Bryce Young, went through some things, you know what I'm saying? But he finally got on track. He finally started to show some promise. So, new coach Dave Canales, working with him over there. So I think this is a team that, let's see what they did in the offseason before we make any judgments. But I think this is a team, man, to watch out for, man, because they weren't that bad last year. I think they played a little bit better than their record. MGM got them at 6.5, 28th ranked schedule. So maybe an opportunity to meet that number there for the Panthers. But what are your guys' thoughts on, and what did you see out there from the Panthers last year that impressed you or didn't impress you, man? Talk to me about what they did.
Yeah, the Carolina Panthers last year started off very horrible. Ended the season on a little bit of a high note. They were in a lot of games, and they could have won some of those games, especially that Chiefs game. They could have really won that game. And Bryce Young, man, he's turned. I think he's turned the corner in his career, and with him turning the corner in his career, man, the Panthers, I think they have very good hands with Bryce Young, man. Go ahead and build a roster around this kid. Like, give him some weapons, give him an offensive line, and he showed you that he was worth that number one pick in points of last season. So. Yeah, the Carolina Panthers, they were 5-12, but could have easily had 8 wins last year, even starting out the way that they did. Old man Thielen out there was still balling. Bryce Young came back and did their thing. The thing that hurt them the most last year was their defense. Their defense and their offensive line, the trenches. And this man coming up, he's going to give you the stats on that, and he loves the sexy fatties, the trenches. So, hey, coach, talk to him.
All right. When we take a look at the numbers, and they speak volumes. You talked about the defense. Points for, they were at 23rd, scoring 341 points. But the points against, 534. They were dead last. So that is a big thing. They got to improve. The SRS was at a negative 10.99, basically negative 11, which is also dead last. And their strength of schedule was at 0.36. last year. Now, in terms of total team totals, statistically, the point scored, I said, was at 341. Their yards was at 5,066, which is a per yard per play, which is at 5.1. Passing totals, they completed 341 passes in 547 attempts for 3,188 yards, 22 touchdowns, but 15 interceptions. Now, rushing, 410 attempts, 1,878 yards, 18 touchdowns, and they averaged 4.6 yards per carry. So, league rankings, I said it earlier, they were 23rd. Their yards, they were at 29th. Pass yards, they were at 30th. Touchdowns, they were at 16th. Interceptions, they were at 23, so they're in the bottom spectrum. Rushing yards, they were at 18. Rushing touchdowns, they were at 8. So once they get into, especially into the red zone, they do score the touchdowns. Defensively, that's where it lies. Points scored, 32nd. Total yards, 32nd. Pass yards, 23rd. Pass touchdowns, 32nd. Pass interceptions, 24th. Rush yards, they're at 32nd. Touchdowns, they were at 30th. So as you see, that's where it lies. They were in the bottom spectrum of the league. So now players that, have the positive impact, it's always going to start with the quarterback in this day and age. Bryce Young completed 234 passes in 384 attempts for roughly 61% completion rate. He threw for 2,403 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. But that's a young quarterback, developing quarterback, so he's starting to improve his game from his first season. So it's going to be a little fire quarterback, hopefully going forward. And a player either coming in or returning last year that can have a meaningful impact, it's a returning player. J.C. Horn. He played in 15 games, started 15 games, 68 tackles, 49 solo, and 19 assisted. And this is from a cornerback, 49 solo, 13 pass defense. So that tells you he's getting his head around, he's knocking the ball away. TFLs, he has 5. Now, he has to improve in interceptions. He's only had 1. He has 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hits, and he's a Pro Bowler. Now, he's one of the most physically gifted corners in the NFL. He continues to solidify himself as a promising shutdown cornerback, relishing the opportunity to compete against the league's premier receivers. And that's an attitude that you want in any player, but especially in a cornerback, because they play on the island against these money-making receivers. So he wants to show that he's one of the best. And again, like I said, 13 pass defense for 49 solo tackles. That tells you when those receivers catch the ball, he shuts them down right then and there. So that's really what I have. That's the number. So turn it over to you, my brother, NYG. Go ahead. Take the horn, bro.
Yeah, take the horn like JC. That's bars right there, coach, man. Appreciate that, man. But yo, let's see what the Panthers did to improve their squad. But they did lose some pieces. So we always gonna have to start with the losses first before we get into what they added. Bringing up the losses now. Starting off, man, Miles Sanders. Last year. Now he's going back to the Cowboys. Came from the Cowboys. From the Eagles, NFC East, another NFC East team. To Carolina. He had a decent, he was all right over there for the Panthers, but he's gone. Jadeveon Clowney's gone. Shaq Thompson, long time Carolina Panther. I believe he was drafted by the Panthers, has some injury things go on with him there. So he's now moving on to the Buffalo Bills. Lost a couple cornerbacks, Caleb Farley, Dane Jackson. So I'm seeing a lot on defense, but maybe that was just to turn over the defense and bring in some better players. That's what I'm hoping for here. But what are you guys' thoughts on who they lost, and is anybody that stands out to you in particular?
Well, it's not anybody that really stands out in particular, but I will say this man here on the screen, Mr. Shaq Thompson, man. I just think they lose a sentimental value in Shaq Thompson and leadership. He has been hurt often, and he has been a leader on that Panthers defense for a very, very long time. But they didn't lose too much from last season. So Shaq Thompson is the guy that I see that they lost, and it may affect them in a sentimental value. I think they could get better at the linebacker position from Shaq Thompson. So it's not too much I can say that they lost, man. But Coach, what do you see in key losses here, bro?
Whoa, Pat, thank you for that. Woo, man, just watching those hits from time. Oh, my gosh. Man, lifting and driving. But seriously, man, it just looks like everything's on the defensive side because you had basically the worst defense in the league. So, Jordan Feller, your DBs, bad. And most will probably say, Jadeveon Clowney, former number 1, bang with the hit against Michigan, blah, 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 blah. You know what? I'm just going to go with the kicker and the punter. Those are the biggest losses to me. So, we got to replace both of those guys. So, that's all I can see because You didn't lose anything on defense. If you want to say Miles Sanders on offense, okay. But yeah, I bet you they did bring in something that's a little bit better than what you lost. I guess. I hope. Let's see. Back to you, NYG.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see what they bought in Carolina, man. If the Panthers, they got some work to do. They do got some work to do over there. I am high on this team a little bit, but they do got some work to do. And they went out and they did it. You know, they did it. They bought in a couple they did bring in Rico Dwaddle, went and got another. They just love going to the NFC East for their running backs. I don't, but went and got another one over there, ex-Cowboy. Then they got David Moore, Hunter Renfrew at the wide receiver position. Couple of veterans there. Tommy Tremble coming back there. Got edge Patrick Jones II. I think that was key there. And Trayshawn Wharton got big money there, a 3-year, $54 million deal. Adding to that D-line as well as Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown. And they got Mike Jackson too, man. So they got Mike Jackson and Bobby Brown to add to that defense. And, of course, re-signing J.C. Horn. But what are your guys' thoughts on who, to you, is the key signing here? Now, they did do some work. They did do some work. I do believe that. I think they had a pretty decent offseason. But what stands out to you guys? Is there one player or players that you guys want to key in on here for the key additions for the Carolina Panthers?
All right, man. They did do a couple of things here, man. I do like that they did Trayshawn Wharton, sign him, but man, the guy, he's not even an addition. They just kept him. And J.C. Horn, man, one of the top corners in the league. Man, man's up, plays like Coach said earlier, man. Made tackles, very physical, and man, he's like a wasp out there, man. He just buzzes around, stinging people all day. And J.C. Horn was definitely one of those guys. Keeping him there in Carolina, that's what I'm looking towards, man. He's not even a key addition. He was just a hold on. They held on to him because I thought he was going to be able to leave the Panthers and get the money, but the Panthers paid him his money. So, man, keeping that guy out there, keeping one side of the field locked down, J.C. Horn's my guy, man. But, Coach, tell him who you talking about.
Okay, first of all, Carolina, y'all need to wear them black uniforms more often, man. Damn joints is But I always say, I always harp on it. It's always about the sexy fatties. And I gotta go with, it's my prerogative, Bobby Brown, to shore up the middle of that defense, man. Because just like I was talking about Atlanta, you know, they didn't do anything to at least address the interior. At least getting a guy like that who can at least be a decent player in the middle. You know, can he develop into something more? We'll see going forward. But Bobby Brown, you know, I mean, you know, there's the number 6'4", 324. I mean, you know, a decent defensive lineman who can at least hold the middle and not let it get cleaned out and not always get washed away. You know, where the running backs will be able to just eat going up in the middle. You know, I talked about Tampa Bay, and you saw how good they run. Atlanta does have a good running attack, so you need to be able to hold that middle, especially in your own division. So, you know, you got Bobby Brown. Rose Boone, I mean, I like the name. That's why I'm going with it. You know, Later Boone. You know, so as a linebacker, can he be that type of a player? But, you know, I started with Bobby Brown. I'm going to close with Bobby Brown the third. Let me make sure I'm saying that right now. The third, you know, so is it going to be his prerogative to totally dominate the middle of the offensive line between their guard and their two guards and with the center? So that's who I think, probably can have the biggest impact going forward as a new addition to the Carolina Panthers. So, but back to you, NYG and Pat.
Yeah, man. Talking Bobby Brown, talking Mike Jackson, talking New Edition. Man, we all R&B and soul up in this joint. You know what I'm saying? But what's the soul of a team, man? Of the offseason, I should say. That's the draft. That's the NFL draft, man. That is where you build the foundation. And let's take a look at what the Carolina Panthers did here. Number 8 overall pick, Terrion McMillan. I think this is solid right here. Home run pick, in my opinion. Man, the Panthers, what do they need? They need targets for that boy we talked about earlier, Mr. Bryce Young. Man, this is one of the best receivers in the draft. Some say he is the best, man. But I do like the prospect of having him and the guy they drafted last year. Man, my man from South Carolina. I don't know why his name slips me, but I'm sure you guys know. Leggett. Yep, them two guys right there, man. Two big body receivers, man, that can go up and get the football, man. One on one side, one on the other side, man. I like what they building here, man. But the rest of this draft, man, yeah, they did attack the defense, man. 2 edge rushers there, Nick Scroton and Princely. Not gonna try to say that last name.
McMillan, I think.
Yeah, you go ahead, right along. My brother, my good brother, Trevor Etienne, running back. So adding to the running back room there as well. Lathan Ransom, safety out of Ohio State. I think that's a sneaky good pick there. But man, y'all talk to me, man. Y'all know I love talking about these draft picks, man. But who y'all got, man? Which one of these draft picks y'all think can have the biggest impact for the Panthers going into the season?
Yo, I gotta go with my man Ted McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona. Him, Xavier Leggett. Shout out to Jimmy Horn getting drafted in the later rounds. I think with those guys out there, and there's one guy I always forget that's out there, but he is pretty doggone good himself. He always shows up. But that receiver core, when I was saying earlier in this, production, Bryce Young needs help, man. Get him some weapons. And why not get him the biggest weapon in this past year's draft? It's Ted McMillan, 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", runs like a deer, runs good routes. And when Bryce Young has to throw a little bit inaccurate, when he has to throw high to get over that line of scrimmage with those big guys down there, because he's 6 foot on a good day, he could throw a high now. He could throw a high and let him go get it. He could throw a high to Xavier Leggett and Tech McMillan and let those boys go out there and do something. Not to mention, old man Thielen is still out there teaching those boys how to get down out there. So, hey, I like what the Panthers are looking like on offense, man. But, Coach, talk to him, man. What draft pick you like out of these guys?
One thing to add on to Ted for you, too, you want to have a good team, I'm going to be honest with you. Go get you a Samoan, man. Go get you a Samoan. So Samoans can play some football. And usually we attribute Samoans to big bodies, but he's a tall body type of a player. And he has the attitude, because most Samoans, when they play football, they have that haka mentality. So I like the receivers. Jimmy Horn, I wanted him on the Giants. But hey, Carolina got him. But the player I think helps is also on the offensive side, and that's ATN. I mean, he's definitely going to step into the run game. He's played well. He's played in the SEC, so he's not afraid of competition. He can definitely run. He's hey, got his big brother in the NFL playing down there in Jacksonville, so he knows what it takes to play in the NFL. So I think that he is the one that, everybody's going to focus on everything else. If they can block up front, he's going to show you that. And you know what? He's a good running back, and he can He can hold the fort. So that's the one that I think is definitely the one who is going to be, as a draft pick, the type of player that's really going to help Carolina. He's going to help Bryce Young, especially, if you're running well, setting up the play action. Hey, he can also do a little bit of catching out of the backfield now. So it's not like, he's just a one-dimensional type of a player. So he's going to give you more. And as Carolina goes forward, they're going to show what they can do offensively, a little bit on defense. So, so that's the one that I thought, Pat, you already broke it down with Ted, Jimmy Horn. You bring in another Cam in Carolina. Let me see. So that's what I have for you. Back to you guys.
All right, man. Let's take a look here at the depth chart and see how all these players fit in. Y'all know how we do over here, man. I got my guys, man, my NFL aficionados, as I like to call them. But I do want to touch on this real quick before I turn it over to you guys. Like I said, that receiving core for Carolina is sneaky good. You got Thielen, who was good last year. David Moore, they bought over from Tampa Bay. You got Leggett still there, and then you bring in Jimmy Horn Jr., Tommy Tremble, who they re-signed, and Tavion Sanders. I remember him from a couple drafts ago, man. I think that's a decent tight end punch. And you got Chuba Hubbard. Now you signed Rico Dwaddle. I think this offense, Trevor Etienne, they're going to want to run the football, with them big, sexy fatties, as coach say, over there with Akeem Ekwonu, Robert Hunt, who they signed from Miami, Taylor Morton, and those guys. They're going to want to run the football. Question is going to be on the defensive side of the ball. Still got Derek Brown and Bobby Brown. So you got the Brown brothers over there now. You bring in Wharton and Patrick Jones the second as your for your front seven, man. Linebacker core, I don't know, a little underwhelming to me. Secondary, outside of J.C. Horn, I'm not a crazy high on as well. But I do think this offense will be better. And if they can get a little bit of a pass rush going on, with some of these guys here, they still got big Ashawn Robinson over there on defense as well. So if they can get something going in the pass rush department, I think they can be a sneaky good team. But Pat, Coach, y'all talk to me, man, about this Panthers depth chart. Y'all go back to y'all's respectable sides of the football. Pat, you're going to go on offense. Coach, you back on defense, man. Let's break down this Panthers roster.
Yo, I'm doing my little dance with this Panthers offense, man. This Panthers offense looking kind of cool, man. You go back to the depth chart, look at the names, man. You got Ted McMillan at the 1, Xavier Leggett at the 2, and Adam, I got a Thielen in the slot at the number 3 receiver. Not to mention Jalen Coker. That's the guy that I was thinking about. He comes in and he produces every time he comes in. Then you got Jimmy Little Horn Jr. going out there, man. He's a jitterbug, so you could put him out there in the slot and let him go out there and do what he do. And guess what? Hunter Renfrow is out there too. Shout out to him. Maybe he could rejuvenate his career from the Raiders. Their offensive line, you got Ekwonu, you got Damian Lewis, Austin Corbett, Robert Hunt, Taylor Moton, a very decent offensive line that can actually protect Bryce Young this year. Hopefully they stick together and don't get hurt, and I think they can make a little bit of noise. Tommy Tremble and Jatavion Sanders out of South Carolina as well, actually played with Xavier Leggett in South Carolina for a year. I think that's a very good 1-2 punch. Then you got Bryce Young, who I think is on the uptrend, revitalize his career. I know that's crazy to say that he's only in this third year, but he's been revitalized. Last year got benched for the Red Rifle, who's still there, and came back and shined. And you got Chuba. Love Chuba Hubbard at the running back position. Rico Dowdle and Trevor Etienne to come in there and back them up. So they got 3 guys they can put out there, and Blackshire is not nothing to sneeze at either. I've seen him play, and he actually can produce too. So I actually give this Carolina Panthers offense a good grade, man. And I think they, as much as they progress together, I think they can become really, really good. So yeah, I'm excited about this Panthers offense to see what they do. But Coach, talk about that defense, man. What you got for me?
Defensively, I said it before, starts up front, with Bobby Brown, the Brown brothers, as NYG said, if they can develop into a sound front, odd front type of a defense, forcing offenses to double team 2 of those 3 guys up front, allow your edge guys to be able to wreak havoc, especially in the run game. Now, NYG said he's not too thrilled with the linebackers. They have abilities. Josie Jewell can play if, allowed to, and, be productive. Coming from that Denver type of a defense, they played over there. So on the back end, Jackson and Horn, Mooring, okay. Damian Richardson, I got to see a little bit out of, but, you also, have guys on the back end, Ransom you just drafted. So, can he come in and steal somebody's thunder? So, Nick Scorton can be something. We talked about Ashawn. It wouldn't even surprise me if Ashawn started. He was starting and doing well with the Giants. So, that's why, to me, Tershawn Wharton, bringing him in, says something. Because Ashawn can, especially in the run game, Ashawn can hold his own. I'm intrigued by the name, Shy Tuttle. And you're playing right in the middle. How can you be shy playing with that type of a name? So, you still got the draft pick Cam Jackson there. So it's intriguing. Can they hold their own? That's the biggest thing with them. Can they? They don't have to be an elite defense, but if you can at least be a middle of the pack type of a defense with their offense, hey, I'm going to say it right now. I think they're going to be the number 2 team coming out of the South. They're going to overtake Atlanta. So I'm that confident in them. I trust their defense a little bit more than Atlanta's.
Yeah.
So, and they were the worst defense last year. So that's why I'm saying if they can just get up close to the middle of the pack, say 18, even 19, 17, 18, 19, you get there. I think, they can show something, and I think they can win more than 5 games. So, but we got to see how the schedule breaks down to really get a true indication.
Yeah, let's do that right now, folks. Let's break down this schedule. They got the Panthers at 6.5. I'm looking at the schedule though. To be honest, I think this team can pick up some games here. You got Jacksonville, man. Man, we did the Jacksonville preview, man. I'm not high on the Jags really that much. You can beat teams like New England. I think you can compete with the Jets, the Cowboys, the Dolphins. You can definitely compete with the Saints and the Falcons in your division. 6.5, man. 6.5. Talk to me. We going over or under here?
I'm be honest with you, man. Those first 4 games, I could see them actually being 3-1. With a loss either with the Falcons or the Cardinals. I could see them being 3-1 in those first 4 games. I know they can beat Miami. I know they can beat the Jets. They can beat the Cowboys too. But then you get to Buffalo and Green Bay.
Yeah, then it gets a little rough.
Then you get to New Orleans. I think they could beat the Saints. Then you get to Atlanta, San Francisco, Los Angeles. Ooh, I don't know. Then you get the Saints again. I think they could beat the Saints twice. And then you get Tampa Bay twice. And Seattle's going to be a brawl. I think that's going to be a very good game towards the end of the season with them in Seattle. But 5 games, What was it over?
It's six and
Six
a
and a
half.
half.
They will have to win
Can they
7
get
games.
to 7 games? Yes. I'm giving the Panthers 7 games at least this season because I do believe Bryce Young and the way they ended last season, they were competing with some of the top teams. And now that they got Ted McMillan out there and they got their offensive line shored up, if that defense shows up just decent, there's some teams on that schedule that they can upset and get some games out of there. I got them over, man. I got them over.
Coach, what you got, man? Over under 6.5 for the Panthers.
Oh, I definitely think they're going to be over. I definitely think they're going to be over. The question is, can they get to 9 games for me? Can they get to 9 games?
9.
And, 7, I definitely believe they're going to get it. I do. Because I think they can get Jacksonville. Arizona is a toss-up. I think in their division, worst case scenario, they're 3-3.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Best case scenario, they're 5-1. Best case, because that means they split with Tampa Bay. So you do that, and New England, depending, that's a toss-up game. I'm with you. I can see them beating them. I can see them beating Miami. I can see them beating Dallas. I can see them beating the Jets, just like Pat said. So, if you, best case scenario, you were to come out of that with 1 loss, going into the back end, hey, I could see it. So, because that you said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if they're 6-1, and then you still have New Orleans, Atlanta, Tampa, and New Orleans twice. That's 4 division games. And if you get 3 of those wins, that's why I said can they get 9? Can they? There is that possibility. I mean, you still have Seattle coming to them now. So it's not like they're going to Seattle. It's like, wow. But I mean, I can also see them because Tampa Bay's at the back end of the year. They can lose both those games. So I'm not going to sit here and say that they're definitely going to split. But
I guess it depends on if Tampa is competing like for the playoffs or whatever, then they could, rest those players in that last game or maybe the last 2 games, depending on if they got a big lead in the division. So you could see a scenario where, they could possibly pick up those a game against Tampa, like you said. So I'm with you guys. I'm going over as well. 6.5. I think they get at least 7 games this year. This is going to be an improved team. You see improvements from the quarterback. They're sticking with the coach. He's coming into his 2nd year. You got some returning veterans, and you had a good draft. So, and you didn't lose much in free agency. I see all that should mean, and your schedule is, I think it was 28th. ranked. So all that being said, you should have an opportunity to improve on that 5-12 season. 2 wins is not a stretch. So yeah, I give them at least 7. I'm going over. Yeah, man. Watch out for the Panthers. That's why all that Falcons talk, I'm like, no, okay.
Yeah.
How about Falcons want to? Yeah. This might be the team, like you said, Coach, that's battling with the Bucs for the division. So, but that being said, man, we are going to get to our last team here in the NFC South, and I think they are last for a reason. But we're going to check out the Saints here right after these messages. All right, we are back with our last team for the NFC South. Last and it probably least, the New Orleans Saints. They were 5-12 last year, and the Saints started off. They came out the gate rolling, but it went downhill, and it went downhill fast. Derek Carr gone. We don't even know who their quarterback's going to be. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. So I I really don't know what to make of this team right here. Last year, like I said, it was a rough year last year. If you guys want to speak on why it was so rough down there in New Orleans, please tell me and the audience, man, what happened to the Saints, man. The Saints was one of those teams that was real consistent, making the playoffs consistently year after year after year, but it seemed like it's gotten bad since Drew Brees and Sean Payton haven't been there. It hasn't been the same. But y'all talk to me, man. What can you guys or can you make anything out of this Saints team, man, and what happened last year?
Yeah, the Saints last year, man, were a travesty. After all said and done, you know, they started out the first 3 weeks. They like the team to beat in the NFL with their offense, man, because we even started a slogan from the outside when they played against the Cowboys. They destroyed them, man. Alvin Kamara and them were going to the outside. Valdez Scantling and Rashid Shaheed would catch passes deep down the field, and the injuries just started happening. Kamara got hurt. Chris Olave got hurt. David Carr got hurt. Their feelings got hurt. You know, so it was a lot of things that happened to this team, and I don't really have too much to say about the Saints. I don't think they're going to be, you know, too much to talk about this season. But, Coach, let them know what they did last season. Maybe we can find something to talk about. I don't know.
Okay, talk about the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to tell you points for 338, which was 24th in the league, against 398, which is 19th. The SRS was a minus 4.12, which is 23rd. Strength of schedule was minus 0.59. So in terms of stats, you know, like I said, total points 338, total yards 5,442, yards per play 5.3, passing. They completed 340 passes in 551 attempts, 488 yards, 21 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, rushing 444 attempts for 1,954 yards, 15 touchdowns. Average yards per carry 4.4. In rankings, they were 24th in points scored. Yards, they were 21st. Passing yards, 23rd. Touchdowns, 20th. Interceptions, 16th. Rush yards, 14th. Rush touchdowns, 15th. Defensively, points scored was 19th. Total yards was 30th. Pass yards, 27th. Pass touchdowns was 4th. Interceptions, 11th. Rush yards was 31st. Rush touchdowns was 21st. So, you know, there you have the overall statistics. The one who had the most impact, unfortunately, ultimately retired, Derek Carr, completed 189 passes and 279 attempts, 67.7 completion rate, 2,145 yards before he went out, 15 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, 3-to-1 ratio. So, you know, he was a pretty steady quarterback. So the player who they're either bringing in or having return who can have the best impact, starting with a fatty, sexy fatty, Dillian Redunes, 54 in his career, 54 games played, 31 started, 2,082 snaps. In penalties, 22 total, 7 holds, 14 false starts, so he has to do better there, none declined. His experience through his first 4 campaigns included multiple starts at 4 different positions on the offensive line. I know, Dash, you don't like that, but, you know, it talks about his versatility. Every position other than center. So, you know, he brings athleticism and versatility to the black and gold and will look to compete for a starting job in training camp. Because of his versatility, it becomes important for the Saints as they will have a new quarterback leading the team, especially if the quarterback is a rookie. So you're definitely going to need, you know, him to play up to par with him coming in. So that's who I have as one of the most impactful. So back to you, NYG.
Yeah, Coach. They do need help, you know. But let's see who they lost other than games, because they losing quite a few of those. Derek Carr, you said it, Coach, man. losing your starting quarterback, man. I mean, it's and when you don't have an answer, like a legit answer, for all people pile on Derek Carr, and I mean, he's been a pretty decent quarterback throughout his career. He's no longer there. We'll get to the roster and what they did in free agency, but losing your quarterback and 3 offensive linemen is not a good way to start your off season. As well as your top corners, Poston Adebo going to the Giants, another corner Shamar John Charles going to the Seahawks, Will Harris, your safety, going to the Commanders. Holy smokes, man! Y'all talk to me, man, and tell me who the Saints are gonna miss the most this year out of this list, man. Pretty extensive list, man. When you think about it, man, some key pieces there, man. But which one do y'all have your eye on to see if they can replace, man? Who's the guy?
Yeah, I think the guy they're gonna have to replace is gonna be Paulson Adebo. Came over to the New York Giants, you know what I'm saying? One of the top corners going to the New York Giants, Paulson Adebo. He was a guy that turned over the ball for him. He got the ball back to the offense. And so to allow that offense to try to get to the outside, but losing Derek Carr and Paulson Adebo, I think maybe 2 of their best players besides Alvin Kamara. I think losing Paulson Adebo for them is going to hurt them a whole lot. I mean, and he's not truly shut down, but he's just an opportunistic guy. And he did play well. One of the top pass defenders in the league the past couple of years. He doesn't give up too much. So losing Paulson Adebo for them is going to suck for them. But our game with the New York Giants, coach, talk to him.
Biggest player, first and foremost, to the Carr family. I'm sorry for you guys. I mean, Derek, David, you're literally basically, in some regards, retiring because of injuries. David, you played a little bit more, but the injuries initially took away such talent. Y'all have sons. Don't let your sons play quarterback. Please don't let your sons play quarterback. Let them play any other position, just not quarterback. But seriously, it is David Carr. David Carr with his talent, but also his leadership abilities. That's one of the biggest losses. I'm always going to still go to the offensive line, all 3 of them. When you're basically starting new coach, new quarterback, new system. It's tough on the offensive line. You still want at least veterans there to help in the transition. So did they bring anyone in? We'll see. Over to you, NYG.
Yeah. Oh man. Oof. Let's see what they did in free agency, y'all. They bought a couple pieces in. Old man Brandon Cooks, he's still out there. Cam Akers. Jawan Johnson resigned. Dante Pettis, he's still out there playing. He's back with him. They did go out and get Chase Young. Cam Jordan, brought him back. Old man Cam still out there. You touched on Dylan Redunce. I think that was big for the offensive line. But the guy I got on the screen, Justin Reed, man, I think that's their big move here. 3 years, $31.5 million deal with $22.5 guaranteed. Saints definitely need help all along their rosters, particularly on the defense and particularly in the secondary. We talked about Poston Adebo and Will Harris going over to the NFC East. So, but who do y'all have as the key addition, man, for this New Orleans Saints team?
You said it best, Justin Reed. I think he's the best guy that they signed this offseason. I think he's the guy, that could come up and sure the back end of that defense. He creates turnovers himself. So losing Paulson to Debo, hopefully you can get Justin Reed to come in there and get after the quarterback from the slot position, and get some balls tipped up in the air like he normally does, like he did with the Chiefs, and create some turnovers for you. He is a leader. He's been on a winning organization, a winning culture, so he does bring that to the team as well. But I think Justin Reed is the best signing that they brought in, for this team, and he's going to be essential. He's going to have to play his butt off because they need a lot of help on this team. So if Justin Reed doesn't turn into Ed Reed, I don't know what they can go do this season. But Coach, man, talk to him, man. What's going on?
Black Butterfly. Nothing but love for you, baby girl, but I feel sorry for you and all your Saints fans. I mean, you guys talked about Justin Reed and, being the most impactful, and I understand why, but New Orleans did not do much on the offensive line other than Dilton redundant. That defense is going to be on the field way too much, and it's going to impact them to the point they're just going to be tired. We already are wondering who's going to be a quarterback. Is it going to be a rookie? How do you help rookies? A good running game, good defense, and to have that, you have to have a good offensive line. And Dylan Redundant, while he's all right, he's all right. I mean, I'm not going to say he's the greatest. But what else do you have? I need to see their depth chart because right now, and their draft pick, because right now, unless you load it up on offensive linemen, back to you, NYG.
I'm right there with you, Coach. I'm right there with you. It's one of those, because I mean, it's like it just went left with this team, man. All of a sudden, I mean, they were looking good, and it just now they in shambles, man. Like, what happened? The draft. Okay, we going to the draft. They got the 9th overall pick. You take Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle out of Texas. I understand. You need help on your offensive line. We talked about the pieces you lost. Then you go and draft Tyler Shuck. I can't, man. I can't not get down. I can't get jiggy with that, Saints fans. I cannot get jiggy with that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Tyler. Met him at the Senior Bowl. Good kid. I think he does have some skills. But I mean, come on, man. You got what's his name? The Rattler over there that you took last year. Why are you going to get another quarterback in the second round of all second round? Like, really? You expect him to pan out? But rest of the draft pick, I mean, I like Devin Neal. Shout out to him. Met him at the Senior Bowl. I'm just not. This is very underwhelming draft too, man. Like off-season underwhelming, just drafts underwhelming to me, and we study the draft. We do a lot as far as draft is concerned, and I'm looking at this list, y'all. And they had a lot of picks. What, 9 picks? But go ahead, man. Y'all got it. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm with you, bro. That's only one salvageable pick I can see on this list, and that's the tackle that they got from Texas, man, Banks Jr. Hopefully he can come in. He's gonna be on a lot of pressure. The block for that blind side for whoever the quarterback's gonna be. Like, this is depressing, man, with this team, man. I'm not impressed with anything that they've done so far. The key losses, not impressed with the key losses. I'm not impressed with the additions. I'm not impressed with the draft, man. Tyler Shuck, like the kid, met him at the Senior Bowl, but he was an older quarterback with 2 bad knees. Yeah, it's kind of depressing, Coach. I don't even have much to say, Coach.
Yeah, I'm with you on Banks. Broughton seemed decent. You know, he played pretty fairly well at Texas. You know, and as an interior defensive lineman, so he probably can help there. Devin Neal, Washington, Kansas. You know, definitely think that he can give you something. Can be an explosive running back. You know, can he be the bell cow? That's to be determined. You know, this ain't Kansas anymore. So, Falau Diggs out of Syracuse by way of Camden, New Jersey. Coming out of high school, he was considered one of the top players out of the state of New Jersey, and it was a good get for Syracuse. So if you develop him, he can be a very good edge rusher. Now, he's more of a pass rusher than he is in the run game, but if you develop, then he can give you something. You guys hit it, though, on Banks. Definitely like that pick. Show, I mean, he kind of reminds me of what's his name. He came out of Florida State back in the day, older quarterback. You know, and, you know, how long is his career going to be? Because he's, 26 years old, if I'm not mistaken? So, you know, how much time are you going to get out of him? Now, being that he's older, he's smarter, he's seen a lot. So maybe there's something, but Pat, like you said, the injuries, you know, and again, he's older, so he's already molded into who he is as a quarterback. So does he fit? So that's pretty much all I have in terms of this draft.
Yeah, Coach. Tyler Shuck being an older quarterback is perfect because guess what? He gonna have to come in right away and help this team out, man. So I hope he learned what he needed to learn in college. There you have it. He's the starting quarterback, according to our lads draft depth chart here. But again, man, it's not all bad with the Saints. I understand. Like, I see the pieces that they have on offense. It's not terrible. You know, you got Fuanga there, right tackle, Cesar Ruiz, right guard. You're good on the right side of your line. We'll see what Banks comes out, but Trevor Penning's a pretty good player. Jawan Johnson, Taysom Hill, pretty good tight ends. It's just that quarterback, bro. I just cannot get around. Like, you don't, like, your options are like, wow. And I mean, I know the quarterback ain't the end all be all, but you got to have something there. You got to have something there, man. And then the defense, I ain't even get into that. I'm going to let y'all do that, man. Because they got a little promise on offense. Pat, talk about the offense. Coach, you talk about the defense and tell me is can they at least be okay on that side of the ball? Because I have my doubts, but y'all take it away, man.
And you're absolutely right to have doubts about this team, this roster. Oh man, listen. Alvin Kamara has injury issues. Chris Olave has injury issues. Brandon Cook has injury issues and is getting older. Rashid Shaheed has injury issues. You got a rookie starting at left tackle. Trevor Penning, Cesar Ruiz, and Talise Fuaga are decent. You got two decent tight ends. And Jawan Johnson and Foster Moreau and Taysom Hill can bring you a spark at any position on this offense. Man. I'll be honest with you. I don't have too much to say. I mean, if you're not on your P's and Q's, this offense can, do some things to you. But if you're on your P's and Q's, I don't see too much they're gonna do with Tyler Shuck out there, Spencer Rattler, Jake Hayner. Me, I'm at quarterback at the fourth position. I don't know, man. It's a little underwhelming from the Saints, man. That's all I can say. It's getting bad out there.
Yeah. Coach, man, what you got, man?
I'm going to say something just for a second on that offense. I really do like that offensive line.
And offensive line is decent.
Yeah, the offensive line is decent.
But that's one of my biggest things. And then you have the double tight end. So what do we always say is one of the best things to the quarterback in the pass game? The tight ends. So now again, like you said, Alvin Kamara, if he's playing his normal self, he causes a problems for a lot of defenses. Whether it's in the run game or it's in the pass game. So, but I understand where you're both coming from. It's not overly impressive because of the quarterback, but we'll see. Defensively, there is something there. Now what is this coaching staff coming in going to do? Because Chase Young, okay, he's up and down. He has the skill set to be that dominant force as a defensive player. We haven't seen it since Ohio State. Is it because of the injuries? We don't know. Goshell, we'll see. Brian Brees. Now we know he can play. Carl Granderson is okay. Pete Werner, okay. Demario Davis as a linebacker. Kool-Aid McKinstry. Now Tyrann Mathieu did just retire, so Jonas Sanker is going to have to move up based on his depth chart. So, Isaac Yiadom. I mean, we as Giants fans know what you get with them. So there are some pieces here. Cam Jordan is on the second year, so you can bring him in, and he's still a veteran guy. Nathan Sherrod, we saw what he did for the Jets. So again, there are some pieces there. How do you develop them going forward? I don't know. It's something there. I will say this. I trust this defense a whole lot more than I do Atlanta's. A whole lot more. So to what you were saying, the biggest issue with the Saints really is what you're getting out of the quarterback. Because if you get something just halfway decent, this team is not in the toilets. Let me just put it like that. You're not flushing them away. Now, are they going to be one of the middle of the pack teams? I think they're going to be at the bottom of the middle of the pack to just right around maybe say 26-ish in terms of team rankings, somewhere in that range. And if you get good quarterback play, maybe they're a middle of the pack team, a legitimate middle of the pack team. I don't know. I got to see, but
these boys washed.
Man,
these
bro.
boys washed.
Man.
Defense is much better than Atlanta's. I'm sorry, they're much better than Atlanta's.
Yeah, these
Let's
boys
get to the
washed,
schedule, man. Let's see what they can do. Let's see what the schedule looks like here.
And the man on that screen retired. Man, the boys washed.
That's good. He just retired, though. He just retired.
Yeah. Shout out to Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, man. Great career, man. One of my favorite players to watch during his career, man. But look at the schedule, man. Look at this schedule, man. 6.5. I'm sorry, man. I am so sorry, but you gotta be joking me. Where is these 7 wins coming from? You know what I'm saying? That I don't even have to ask y'all. I mean, if you high on the Saints, bro, I mean, cool. But you see this schedule: Arizona, San Francisco, Seattle, Buffalo, even the Giants can wash you. The Patriots, the Bears. Come on, bro. Who they beating? Who they beating? I like Carolina better than them in their own division and Atlanta. So you getting washed in your division. The teams, even the teams that might be on your level, like the Giants and Patriots, I've got them over you. Where is the wins coming from? Oh no, bro.
Arizona washed. 49ers washed. Seattle washed. Buffalo, good Lord. New York, the Giants. I ain't even confident in my Giants team, but I know we can beat you.
The Giants defense will destroy.
You better get Drake May. Because the Bears, I don't see you beat them. I don't see you beat the Buccaneers. I don't see you beat the Rams. Maybe Carolina division game. Maybe Atlanta division game. Miami. washed.
At Miami,
Tampa
yeah.
Bay,
You gotta
washed.
go to Miami.
Maybe Carolina, maybe the New York Jets since you in the dome. At Tennessee, washed. At Atlanta, washed. Hell no, man. Under. The down under. They ain't even gonna make it on Bourbon Street.
5.5? It's 5.5?
6.5.
6.5, man.
Six
Listen,
and
they
a
don't even
half.
get halfway to 6.5.
Word.
Watch.
I don't know, Coach. Maybe you can make sense out of it. Maybe you can squint real tight and find 7 wins out of that schedule. Because I can't do it, bro. I can't do it.
I think they'll get definitely 6 wins.
Name the 6 teams.
I really think that Arizona's coming to them, and it's at 1 o'clock.
Please.
So I think they can get where
Reviewed
Arizona.
the Arizona Cardinals. That team is pretty good.
I'm not. I didn't say it's the, but also remember it is the first game of the season. The first games usually are not. Yeah, so
But you got to think too. This
way.
Saints team got a new head coach, like you said.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. It's the first NFL game. It's his first. So for Arizona, you're like, well, wait a minute. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? How is he going to manage?
I get you element of surprise. Okay.
Yeah, so that's why
After that, yo, ain't no more surprises.
I'm sorry. the Giants, until otherwise, the Giants they can. See, this is the thing. You guys are literally saying it's guaranteed. You're guaranteeing a win.
It ain't even about the Giants' offense. It's the defense. That defense alone will beat the Saints.
Okay.
Wow.
So you're guaranteeing a win. That's what
I'm
you're
not
saying.
guaranteeing anything.
And I'm saying
over, under.
Can they right now, the way they're constructed, possibly? Yeah, they can with both New York and New England. I'm sorry. Chicago, I'll give Chicago the credit, but I'm sorry. Do I think, and depending on how the season starts, can they? Yeah, there's that possibility. Even though I like Carolina a lot, do I think they can split? I have no, other than their offense, and it's playing Atlanta on the back end, so you don't know what's going to happen on the back end. And you better not lose Michael Penix. I have no faith in Atlanta other than, you know what, they have a good running game, and if Michael Penix is back there, then yeah, I'm going to favor them over the Saints probably in both those games. But if you have Kirk Cousins back there, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. It's like Miami, Tampa Bay, I'll give you guys it. The Jets, Tennessee is a lot better, but can they? The possibility. That's why I say there's a possibility for 6 wins. Now, is it 6.5?
It's 6.5.
That means can they get 7? Can they get 7?
Ain't no damn way.
No, I'll go with you guys on the under. I think they can get 6. The possibility for them to get 6 wins is there. But now, if you tell me they end up getting 2 wins, it wouldn't surprise me. It won't surprise me. It won't surprise me either.
Yeah. I'm leaning more like that, like a 3-4 win team. That's what.
And I understand that. That's logical. I get it. But that's why the key word is can they? Yeah, this is the NFL. You can beat
absolutely
at any point. I don't care if you're the champs. You can beat them if things go right. So that's why I'm saying, can they? Yeah, 6 wins. Yeah, I can see 6 wins. But I can also see 2 wins. So, you know. And I said it earlier. Can they be right there at the middle of the pack and then down towards the bottom? Yeah, I did say that. So
That's true. But again,
I just don't
the Saints, it's 2 things. It's gonna hold them back. 1, you have a new head coach. 2,
Fair.
You really don't have a quarterback.
Fair.
So I think the roster is not terrible. I'm with you on that, but the situation is very bad, and they ain't do you no favors with the schedule either. So I know it's like one of the lowest ranked schedules, but these bro, you got some dogs on that schedule. You know, your division helps you out because it's not a good division. you know. But outside of that division, I think they can get their butts whooped. But that's me.
I got 3 words: belt to ass. These
Well,
boys for the kid.
Well, yeah, I will say this too. Arch, you may be going home, bro. You may be going home. I will say that. And they got his left. And they got his left tackle.
Yeah.
So,
They set it up.
And that's why I'm with you guys. I understand.
Belt to ass.
So
I can see a situation. If it go off the rails, them first 5-6 weeks, they just going
ownership be like, no.
Nose dive. They going for that number 1 pick. They
and you know Archie Manning would love that to get his grandson to play. Okay, yeah.
Oh, he'll come out. If the Saints got the number 1 pick, he'll come out. I think if anybody else, he's going back to school. But
so
my opinion, unpopular as it may be.
Yeah, so I get it, and that I'm going to play the conspiracy theory. So
ain't no conspiracy. That's been in plan.
Yeah, you got his left tackle, his brand that played here. He's from New Orleans, basically. Yeah,
they are going to be bad this year. I promise you.
To add on to your theory,
I said they was gonna be set up to be as bad as they could be. Look at that schedule.
Yeah, let's set it up so they can be up there and get art. So yeah, I'm
gonna get RKO this year, bro.
No,
why you think them veterans getting out of there? Tyrann Mathieu, Greg Carr, all them dudes, they like, man, we ain't going through this, bro.
Hell no.
I'm about to spend last year my career up in here.
Man, what? Them boys finna get washed, bro.
Look at his face. He tired of me.
He tired of me already, bro. You know what, man? I'll go home with my kids, man. I ain't gonna
word up. I got better things to do.
Super Bowl. Yeah, all right, I'm with you.
But this has been the NFC South preview. We're not done yet. We got 2 more divisions coming out for you folks. Got the North coming up next, and last but definitely not least, the NFC East. So y'all stay tuned for those. This was a good one, y'all. This was a good one, man. But we're gonna have to get on up out of here, man. We got things to do, places to be. Y'all know how it is, man. It's me, your boy NYG, aka Unpopular Opinion Sports, with Big Pat Sports Talk and Coach Ed from Coach Ed's Amazing World of Sports. We are the Aboriginal Sports Network. And till next time, we up out of here, man. Holla.
Peace.